Hi. We're gonna start with a reaction video because, well, this video some people have been sending my way or have been seeing around and stuff. Uh, and I wouldn't have watched it otherwise, really. One Piece is a terrible anime. Okay, great, cool. Two red flags right off the bat for me isn't even just the title. Like, it's like, yeah, that's a bad take for me. At least I disagree with that. But like, putting Land of the Lustrous on the thumbnail as like, this is a good one. What? Of all the titles, Land of the Lustrous. It's interesting. Especially, I don't know. I'd be interested to hear Mac's arguments in favor of Land of the Lustrous, and not to say Land of the Lustrous is a bad anime either, or or at least to counter what he's saying. Like, no, actually, Landless is bad or something. But like, are you gonna talk about Landless's adaptation? It'd be interesting, especially because I mean, I don't think they did too many changes. I'm not really familiar with the adaptation process and look that closely at it, but the I remember Jack Under the Scopes video about Landlust's adaptation was significantly different. They did a lot of different things. The other red flag for me was just that, One Piece is a terrible anime and he has a One Piece profile picture. I usually don't hold people's profile pictures against them or anything. Like, why? Like, it's a dumb thing. But it just shows to me that like he's clearly a One Piece fan. So this is coming from a manga fan. I say, all right, you know what I mean. If it was just kind of coming from someone in general, then it's like, all right, sure, you have opinions about why you don't like One Piece so much. But this is going to be purely the anime did a bad job, which you think about it, right? If it's been going for this long and hasn't been quit or anything like that, like it's so fortunate that One Piece has something like this. 100 volumes. You think of any other anime or manga, not even I'm sorry, anime, but think of any manga that has close to that number of volumes. None of them have that close to an adaptation, a full anime adaptation. If you were like, oh, they should remake One Piece or something, I mean, first of all, the fact that like they're gonna keep it going, and then once it finishes, there's a very likely chance that they'll just do something like Kai and just kind of re-up it. It's not like they haven't been doing that with East Blue stuff too, right? I should be getting to watching the video, but I might not. I don't know if I'll even watch the whole thing, to be honest with you, but we'll see.
Recently, I decided to read Land of the Lustrous, partly on the suggestion of
Okay, so he's reading Land of the Lustrous and he's showing the anime. Gotcha.
because of a meme that I saw.
Oh, this is a really lovely setup, actually. I'm very jealous. As someone who is tried making, I was trying to do kind of a similar setup like this. I will be interested to see how much he's the balance of on-screen presence and the rest. I haven't seen most of his any of his other videos. Actually, I think this is his first that I'm watching. Okay, I really like the setup though a lot.
This is how I decide what I'm
I like
going
the
to
One Piece manga in the bottom. Yeah, of course.
read. But there's one problem with it. It's only 12 episodes long, and it was made in 2017. So the chances that we're getting another season feel about as likely as getting a proper Berserk adaptation.
Yes, correct. I mean, Orange, there's still an active studio, and we've waited much longer for other sequels of things, but also, like, Land of Lust is not really in a great position regardless because of the way the manga is on hiatus, too. It's not very, it's kind of stop and go with that project as well. So it's if they want another one, you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe they don't. And maybe this was just a promotional thing. That's the thing with these adaptations, right? But to already counter with what you're about to say with One Piece, I really love the fact that the anime has been so embraced by the community, by Oda, by the franchise. It's not like a little promotional thing. Toei really dedicated, like, we are going to spend time on adapting this. They didn't know back in 1999 that this is going to go on for 25 years. Who would have? you know? Maybe people back then, or I don't know, but like it's incredible that it's still going. And that's a testament to its staff and to the craft on display here. So it's just okay. just letting you know, you're tackling a big subject here, much bigger than just like, oh, a Land of the Lost adaptation. It's 12 episodes. This is 1,080 plus episodes.
Now that's a real shame because, like
It
I
is.
said, this is a fantastic adaptation of a great manga, and
You've just repeated yourself. Anyway, I am hostile. Okay, you are, by making a title like this, I am hostile towards your video. Okay, just saying.
And that got me thinking, what makes a great anime adaptation? See,
Okay, look, I'd love that if it was just a video on that, that'd be great. But the way you're titling this, and I don't think it was a great title, to be honest with you. Not even just for like, oh, I disagree with it, but just that like my expectations as a viewer are so skewed to what you're trying to say. Like you expect, like it's 50 seconds into the video and you're talking about Landlust. You know what I mean? And I have heard from other people that have already watched this video that you don't talk about One Piece until like 8 minutes into the video. Like, I'm sure the video's doing just fine and it's gonna do pretty well anyway. But like, because it's an opinion that a lot of people believe, regardless of what you're gonna say about it.
as a result, I don't actually watch a ton of anime because I don't generally feel like I will get much out of it.
That's perfectly fine. But that right there does not make me give me confidence that you're gonna be like, I know about anime. I know how to talk about it. I can talk about anime. I don't watch that much anime. A minute into the video? Why should I trust you? Or to listen to you? Bruh! I'm perfectly willing to hear you talk about manga, though. I'd love that.
I'm also a massive One Piece fanboy, yet I haven't watched a full episode of the anime since Zoe.
Zoe's not... Okay. That's better than Best Guy Ever, who hasn't watched the anime since Water 7 or Enies Lobby or something. He told me that on Talking Pirates, and I was just like... I could not. But like, right there too. Since Zoe, so you have not seen Whole Cake and you've not seen Wano. You know, look, I'm not. Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. And it's nice that you're being transparent about this, but do I really want to believe you now, with anything you say, if you don't necessarily like watch that much anime, and you really only watch the anime if you love the manga for it? It seems, and you haven't watched the entire One Piece anime. And I'm not being like, come on, bro, catch up or whatever. Like, if you were going to analyze particular episodes, like I hear he focuses on Dressrosa. Okay, cool, interesting. Kind of an easy target. Then that would be fine. But you don't go, One Piece is a terrible anime. You go, One Piece's Dressrosa arc in the anime, like you make a more specific point, but like that's not going to make a good YouTube good YouTube title, of course, right? I hate YouTube for that. God.
Because I don't hate myself.
Yeah, I'm over it. This was enough of a reaction. That is my point. I could dignify this by watching the entire video. Is my phone charged? It's not. I'm gonna keep watching then. But that was awful. Like, I'm not giving like, yeah, you don't hate yourself. Cool. Oh my God. That wasn't funny. It wasn't delivered in a funny way. That doesn't respect what you're talking about. And that is so infuriating as someone who is about to release a video 80 minutes long that is a complete takedown of this other thing. But I am trying to be as respectful as possible about this thing and let it speak for itself. And this is awful. That was not a good. I'm not even like, come on, bro.
So what's so special about Land of the Lustrous?
Hey, nice. I like this though. You look pretty. It's nice. I'm liking the aesthetics of the video overall. The craft is good. I will say that.
One Piece sitting around waiting for me to watch them. More than 100 episodes of Kingdom and God knows how many fucking isekai. But this is what I want. Just more of this.
Where does the isekai comment come from? Why do you just break open this whole other art? Like, what? Wait a second. Oh, Or you just be like, anime's bad because it's made all these isekai? Am I being sensitive? Am I just being too sensitive to this art? Like, what is that trying to say? What?
A great anime adaptation should provide something that you don't get by reading the manga.
I agree.
That the manga can't provide is simply that it's animated. And that's a
No.
totally valid way of looking at it.
Not just.
Or maybe you don't read manga at all. And in that sense, the something that an anime is providing is the opportunity to experience a story that you wouldn't otherwise. But for me, as someone that is primarily a manga reader, sometimes being animated doesn't outweigh the pros of reading the manga. But before we get too into
That was a really big pause. That was a really long pause. Okay. I guess the three things for me, with the reason I'm more of an anime watcher than a manga reader, is not just animation. I actually don't care as much as it moves as much, actually. I'm a Dazaki fan. I don't need it to move that much. But it's the sound. It's not just like music. It's sound. It's voice performances, music, and sound effects, which One Piece has literally the best sound palette, music, voice acting, and sound and SFX of any anime. I will argue. Would argue. Not here. And of course, yeah, the changes and stuff. It's just like the running time, the allotment of being, and many other things, but not just that it moves. Color's another one. Yeah. Oh, just read the colored manga. Yo, you mean the one that like the author didn't make? You know, like that's not a thing for most manga, by the way. But never mind ones that do have a colored version, like One Piece. Did Oda make that? Weird how it's like, oh, I wish it was like fans have to fucking make it in color. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
anything else really outweighs the hit the artistic
Sound?
fidelity takes. That might sound like I'm saying that the anime is the hit.
Okay, it doesn't look like that though. Just show the you're literally fucking Davu did this. Kind of like making the anime look dumber by like blowing it up, or if he's fucking scribbling on it. Just show it. Just show this and be like, lose the visual fidelity and maybe show a comparison from the manga. Like, show what the manga panel looks like. Which I wouldn't be surprised because that art is incredibly detailed from what I've seen. But like, that is not the way to fucking demonstrate your argument. To fucking scribble over the fucking what?
Take a look at this panel of Thorfinn's face and then compare it to the same frame from the anime.
Okay. Now, it's the frame from the anime, but they didn't present this to you like this, right? You cropped that, you froze it. The anime is taking a lot of other things into consideration here. All right? So we're already taking it out of context, right? Every time you do a freeze frame like this, just saying, you have to kind of take the whole sequence in mind, right? And I also would have appreciated in the manga I'm sorry if I sound like I'm nitpicking here, but this is someone who's doing the similar craft like this, especially if you're doing a manga to anime comparison like this, which I've done before. Both of these are out of context. You know, the whole panel, I'm sorry I don't know the author's name off the top of my head, but does he have word bubbles in there? Notice the entire background is blank. Like, what context is this in?
Lines adding detail to the face are removed and
They're not removed. There's lines right on his face right there. There's literally lines on it. Not like the middle ones, I guess. Yeah, you want this to be a 1-for-1. You just want them to take the thing and map it on the thing and then try to like mangamation. Like what?
But come on, the muscles just don't hit as hard.
Yeah, I mean, he's really scuffed in the other one. And that would be really hard to do, to animate all those little lines and scuffs, if the screenshot, if he's moving in that shot. Is he moving in that shot? I don't know. The manga, he doesn't move because the pictures don't move. But if the anime, if it's panning up and he's if he's in the middle of an arcing motion, of course they're not going to have all these scrapes and like whatever on it because that would be more detail.
The pictures are moving now isn't always enough to make an adaptation worth watching.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Something more than that.
Yeah, like I'm happy you're actually showing the clip here, because here they're actually panting, which is giving off a different interpretation. Instead of showing how scarred and marked they are and how physically torn up they are, they're out of breath. I can't be giving the analysis here because I have not read or seen Vinland Saga. And by the way, he's talking about Vinland Saga this whole time with One Piece being a terrible anime. I really could have been like, if you wanted to be the manga guy and be like, anime just sucks, bro. Like, just go out and say it, dude. Like, fucking send it. If you're gonna just be like, One Piece is a terrible anime, but then you're just talking shit about the Vinland Saga anime, the only one you seem to like so far is the Land of the Lustrous anime, and you really haven't been giving any good reasons why the Land of the Lustrous anime is better, is not even better, as good. You enjoyed it. You have not been doing any, I mean, I'm sure he's gonna get there, so, okay.
The art of the manga is gorgeous in its own right, but wow, they didn't pull their punches on this one.
It pauses again. It's like, no wonder this is 45 minutes. A little snappy? Oh, whatever. This is nice propaganda. I do like it. I do love the Land Loss anime. But it is showing where it's like, you didn't hardly give any clips, like moving clips like that for Vinland. And you have yet to even talk about One Piece. Again, because and I'm so harked on this, not just because I'm a One Piece fan, like you are, but also because you put that in the title. You need to really, like, otherwise like, is he gonna talk about One Piece? And there's other people who are not gonna give a shit, so, you know, that's fine. These fucking Twitch emotes that he's using to, like, to get around the copyright, the content ID, like, I guess so. I would be curious. He is cutting in a good enough way that I don't think the copyright boys would have even, I think it would have been fine, actually, because these clips are being cut so frequently and out of sequence that I don't think the ID would pick it up. The only ones that might actually pick it up are manual takedowns, which the copyright bots are not going to do anything about. And I wonder if this technique would work if he was using longer sequences, like longer than 10 seconds of unbroken animation, which he's not doing. You know what I mean? So if anything, this is kind of this, like, ruining your image, if anything. He didn't have, I guess it's being safe, but
that Titan looks pretty hard to animate. Make it 3D, but don't change anything about how it's presented. Perfect. Ship it.
That's not from the anime, bro. I know it's a joke, but show actual fucking clips. And in this instance, like, you have to think about why they're doing this in a certain way, especially with Beast Titan in this instance. And now he's just talking about Attack on Titan. He's going all over the place, right? It's like complaining in the One Piece anime that Kaido or Momonosuke are animated in CG a couple of times, and that disqualifies all the animation they did to animating Kaido and Momo as dragons in 2D. You know what I mean? Like, they're using it for very inconsequential scenes. They're not using it for them. Like, maybe they'll use and then criticize that. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and then is the whole 1,086 episodes of One Piece. It's a terrible anime. Like, it's a ridiculous argument you're making, honestly. Make a particular argument, but like the vagueness, I get it's a YouTube title, whatever.
That example's a bit unfair. They did get
Thank you.
about it in
It
later
was
episodes,
unfair.
but you know
Thank
what's
you.
totally fair to criticize?
Yeah.
Oh, you know where this is going.
It's a cliche. You just used a cliche. All right. Well, at least the clips themselves aren't that cliche. Like, I don't usually see this clip of Isidro that much.
Kentaro Miura was a brilliant artist that put masterpiece after masterpiece in the...
You're showing... Yes, that was in the 2016 anime. And how was that adapted? Not that bad, actually. I watched the 2016 anime. I don't even know if you did. I'm actually not sure, because the way you just introduced yourself at the beginning of the video makes me assume that you probably just watched Berserk through a bunch of clips, right? So why, you know? But, like, that's not a difficult shot to get, like, to get right, you know? That one is also in the 2017 anime, I believe. And that one was pretty ruined, I think, because they shadowed a lot. It's what do they do with it? You know what I mean? It's not just CG or something. You kind of have to go shot by shot. And that's a little tedious, isn't it? And no one's gonna do it. So they'll just generalize and just be like, oh, it was bad, it's bad. And look, you're talking to a guy who also criticized the Berserk 2016 and 17 anime. You know, most popular video on the channel. You know, that one has not been adapted to anime yet. That one, I'm pretty sure is in the when they're finally in Elfheim. Is it? That's Alpha. I think that's an SAO thing. The elf place. That's also not been adapted. But even if that was adapted, I don't think that would be too much of a difficult shot, to be honest with you. Like, you could probably do that pretty well, because none of that's moving. That's a pretty easy motion in the middle there, and then, you know.
And those goddamn painters, and this is what you did with it.
Yeah, and you zoom in on one background character. You're comparing 2-page spreads, the highest possible that Berserk ever gets, which, like, you know, this would be like the equivalent of, like, Berserk sucks, and you zoom in on a corner panel of Puck or something. No one would take you seriously. But this is so easy to do because everyone hates Berserk 2016-17. You not make, like, no, this is an easy argument. Like, but it's completely uncharitable. And this is someone who doesn't need to, I'm not trying to defend 16 or 17, but you're not arguing with it faithfully, in good faith at all.
Why on earth would I watch this over reading the manga?
An adaptation is an opportunity for more art. It's an opportunity for other artists to express themselves with another person's work. An adaptation, right? It's the opportunity for Peter Jackson to take this. Why would I read The Lord of the Rings? Why would I watch the Lord of the Rings movie when I can read the book? You would do it so you can see Peter Jackson's directing and Ueda's craftsmanship, the performances of Elijah Wood and Surian McKellen and yada 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 yada. Like, you experience an adaptation to see it being adapted, you know? In Berserk 2016 or 17, maybe you get those new tracks from Susumu Hirasawa, Ash Crow, and this other thing. You might get more performances. I think they changed the voice performance. I don't remember though. But there's more opportunity to experience this story again. Maybe you've already read Berserk because you have, especially in the context of Berserk's 2016 and 17, because a lot of us had read the manga by the time these had come out, because this is an older manga, right? But yeah, like, that's why you would watch an adaptation of something. That's maybe why you would watch 16 or 17. But I get it. It's not good. Good. Yeah, I get it. I recommend watching Berserk 97. I think you should watch that adaptation because it has, in my opinion, better backgrounds than the manga, at least in that chunk of Golden Age Miura manga, right? Gorgeous character designs by Umakoshi. Soundtrack by Susumu Hirasawa. Both the sub and the dub performances are immaculate. It's a banger. It's a banger adaptation. But because it doesn't move that much, I guess, or it doesn't go much further than Golden Age, and it's already been adapted multiple times, sure. Oh, also now he's talking about Berserk. He's talking about Berserk, Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, Kingdom, Landless. Still not One Piece. And by the time he gets to One Piece, it's going to be like fucking midnight.
Is also made of the mineral that is their name.
Finally, a shot from the manga.
Drawn as shiny and slightly translucent.
Finally.
It leads to a lot of lines and changes in shading that would be really difficult to animate in 2D. Studio Orange, being a studio known for 3D animation, chose to make this an almost full. It's done so that Studio Orange could utilize the strengths of 3 dimensions.
I agree. I'm happy he's talking about it in this way. This is very constructive and positive and additive. I like this section of the video. I would also want to point to his direction to the pilot. I don't even think it's the pilot. I think it was just a promotional video for the manga before the anime was announced. And it's 2D. So this was possible to turn into 2D animation. It wasn't impossible. Certainly difficult. But not to dissuade what Orange did, of course. I'm trying to find every possible thing to disagree with him about. It is what it is. Welcome. I think it was possible to turn to 2D, but 3D was an adaptation choice. That is really interesting, isn't it? That, like, I don't even know his big of an argument with One Piece apparently being a one-for-one thing.
In traditional 2D animation, every single frame of movement needs to be painstakingly illustrated by a very talented artist.
And I'm always like, what did I say wrong? Sure, they are talented. But the way a lot of 2D animation works is there's multiple steps in the process. There's somebody drawing the key animation. There's an animation. So it's kind of like it's kind of three-prong almost, where there's the key animator. There's the guy who is doing the actual animation and everything and drawing most of that. And that's the talented guy. But oftentimes they need an in-betweener to help with like the in-between motion. See, they're not drawing every single frame. that's the other thing. And then even then, after they've done the key animation and everything, there is an animation director who might correct everything that they're doing or change things a little bit to make the episode consistent looking, make it not look too whatever, or not. You know, there is multiple steps of the process. I think he's simplifying this quite a bit. But yeah, I am. It's not I'm actually him. I am unactually him.
This means even something as simple as a character shifting their weight slightly in a scene adds.
See right here, right? The key animator would draw, and maybe the key animator did all the in-betweens because they want a particular smooth motion, and that's more power to them. That's great. But likely, they would draw the keyframes. He goes up and then down like this, and then like. But then, is he drawing every single motion of him winking, like all the way down? Not necessarily. There are in-betweeners that do that. But maybe they don't have in-betweeners. Maybe it was all key. I mean, like, great. Because, like, if someone like Ohira or someone that are extremely talented and that have their own very distinctive style to them, who have animated on One Piece, by the way. You know? Not that he would know because he hasn't watched past Zoe.
Drastic oversimplification of how 3D animation works, and
yeah.
It's not always going to save time compared to 2D animation.
No.
But when it comes to animating complex objects like...
I'm also appreciating that he has no discussion of money or anything like that in this. That's really good.
Say, a mech suit,
mm-hmm.
which has a ton of little details and extra lines. Yeah, this tends to save time.
Yeah.
It also opens the door to a mountain of opportunities that the third dimension allows for. Because it isn't just the characters that gain a Z-axis, so does the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Now the camera can move back and
Very
forth
good.
more easily, or pan side to side, or rotate around the subject and capture them at all angles.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I said that Studio Orange...
Because you have a 3D environment in that shot too. When it rotates like this,
capture them at
you see the trees also rotating, the grass is rotating, the building back there.
all angles.
The most you would have in a two-dimensional state.
Or pan
You
side
see
to
this
side, or rotate
the pan side to side is that could be a 2D thing, but you see like the sky here.
around the subject and capture...
That might even be just a slide. That might even just be a pan like that, but it could be a rotation too.
They're taking the time they've saved and investing it in more subtle animations, such as small character movements that would be difficult to achieve in 2D animation.
Not impossible though. Not impossible. So like right now, it's weird because he's not really talking about an adaptation process. He's talking about animation. He is not really giving an adaptation. All he mentioned about the manga is the hair. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty sure the manga does a lot more artistically different things than just the hair.
And they love to play with the camera,
Mhm.
whipping it around.
I wish this was a Landlust video. Why didn't you just make a fucking Landlust video? Why does this have to be like, One Piece sucks? Like, One Piece is a terrible... Why? Just make a Landlust video at this point. This is good. This is really good. I would love a video like this.
Around in crazy ways throughout action.
Again, I'm not, I have a personal thing about like, ultimately you should be talking more positively about something than not. But I don't want to come off as a hypocrite because I am releasing a video that's negatively skewed, and several of my most popular videos are negatively skewed as well. So
Scenes or slowly
it's all what you do with it.
Scene. 3D animation
To what end, you know?
has gained the ire of a lot of fans because it's often used as a cost and time-saving measure and nothing more.
No, I don't think so. I think there are some fringe fans that like any detection of CG. There are people that don't watch fucking Landlust or Beastars or Trigun Stampede, anything that Orange makes because it's CG, because and they have their own personal reasons for that. You know? I think you should not to be like, it looks like that. Like actually talk about Berserk 2016's CG. The fact that it's animating on threes in some cases. Orange doesn't necessarily do that. All the animation is kind of a lot more smoother, kind of what you would get from, CG animation that we're used to in the West or in video games, right? But Berserk 2016 and a lot of other shows that used CG primarily, like that Polygon Pictures did a lot with Ajin and Knights of Sidonia. I don't have the quote in front of me, but I believe their philosophy about it was that they still want to kind of match the pace of 2D animation, which is animating on threes or on a certain amount. And it doesn't look that good on CG animation because it looks choppy or whatever. And that's what it looks cheap. It looks bad. But you have to give the precise you kind of have to explain why. Otherwise, you're just another YouTuber, in my opinion. Just saying.
Studio Orange is using
just another fan that's just like, we're not making any progress. You know what I mean? And again, this video has become about like a discussion of 2D versus 3D, but I thought this was an adaptation video. I also thought it was a One Piece video, but what are you gonna do?
The picture is moving now often isn't enough for me to care about investing time into an anime.
I agree. Do you have a quote? You keep hanging your hat on this, like people are like, it moves now, therefore better. Do you have like a tweet or a Reddit post or anything that's like substantiating your point that anime fans are like, just because it moves now, it is now better? You've still not talked about color. You've still not, you mentioned music, that like the best thing that Vinland Saga anime did was the music. Like, yeah.
What I'm looking for here is an awareness of the strengths of the medium.
Yeah.
When you're adapting a story from one entertainment medium to another, I want to see this new version of an existing story taking advantage of the strengths of the new medium.
Yes. And you don't think One Piece does? With its music, with its performances, with its shot by, with cinematic language.
I'm looking for pieces of media that tell the story in a way that only their chosen medium can.
I mean, would you be against an anime? It was originally an anime and then becomes a manga adaptation of the anime. What would you think about that? Would you prefer that because you're a manga fan? You have to think about those biases, right?
Or this scene where Lisa and Bart are touring an animation studio, and the executive explains how they save time by reusing backgrounds while the background of the scene repeats over and over.
Right.
These are jokes.
So these are metatextual jokes, and you want animation to... I don't really understand the point that you're trying to make. It's like, it's applying the strengths of the medium, as in, it's calling like Simpsons is good because it's calling attention to its animation tricks, and that's something that only animation can do. Being meta. I mean, comics can also be meta, but they obviously have to be meta in different ways, and that's what an adaptation has to do. So I can't remember too many of like, I'm like super denizen of Akira Toriyama, for example. If he makes a metatextual joke in the comic and they adapt it to anime, they can't just say the same joke. They kind of have to adapt and make a metatextual joke in animation. So it has to be kind of, instead of breaking a panel, they do something else. I don't know. Or not, because it's like, it's fine. Or yeah, because you're applying the strengths of its own medium. And that it's literally even down to the rudimentary of just shot by shot and not panel by panel. Because we're talking manga to anime, right? We want to kind of focus on that. I don't know why he's talking about The Simpsons now, right? That's another thing. It's not even an adaptation of something. I get the point that he's trying to make is like the animation should apply to its medium, but the examples he's giving for Simpsons is that it's metatextual. They're making these meta jokes about it being a cartoon. So that's applying the strengths of being an animation, that it's metatextual, and live action film can't be metatextual like this.
These jokes effectively utilize The Simpsons' strengths as an animation. So when I'm reading a manga...
The pauses are so long! I'm sorry I keep bringing that up, but like... Do you need me time to think or something? I can pause,
Take this page from Chainsaw Man where the panels are broken up with intestines instead of the usual white space. So if the scene ever gets animated, I wouldn't want them to adapt it one-to-one because that would mean trying to shoehorn in something that wouldn't work in the animation medium.
However, you could. So in this shot, so what do you think about? You think about creators like, okay, if you have cinematic techniques So you have transitions. So instead of a cut,
to one.
so
You
like
can't
here,
differentiate
right? Just spitballing, and I'm saying that maybe I don't really remember what scene this is from. But in this case, if you really wanted to replicate what the manga does here, you could have a tentacle go up like here as a cross wipe, you know what I mean, and create a different shot. You could do that, you know.
Man, where
Anyway.
panels are broken up with intestines.
I know what he's
shown
trying to
at the
say,
same
though.
time. I want them to find a way to animate it in a way that preserves
It's
the
been
intended
10 minutes and he's
presentation,
not talked
but
about One
adapts it
Piece.
in a way that utilizes the strengths of animation. Some things just don't
I
work.
also cannot believe that he's about to make this fucking argument, this entire video, and he's like the strengths of animation and everything as a medium, and he's not gonna even fucking address. Like, is he even gonna address Wano? You know, One Piece isn't just all Dressrosa, right? You know, all the things that it does in the East Blue Saga or Alabasta. You know how big One Piece is? How is he gonna make this fucking argument? You're really gonna be like, One Piece is a terrible argument because he's gonna show one fucking screenshot. I swear to God.
Here in chapter 857 of One Piece.
Oh, now we're talking about One Piece. What the fuck? Okay, I'm in. Let's go.
We can see Nami saying something hurtful to Sanji.
Yeah.
And having a
Okay.
character being stabbed by one effectively shows how the words inside them are
Yeah.
hurting that character.
It's a creative idea.
Anime doesn't have speech bubbles. So how do they adapt this joke? Well, they just lazily animated an arrow coming out of nowhere. Just
Hey, no, it did not come out of nowhere. It came
So
from
how do they
her.
adapt-
It came from the paper.
adapt this joke? Well,
And it's funny because it's a brief. It sparked up a little bit, and he's looking right at it. I don't know the full context of this scene, right? Where she's taking why is she holding? Because think of in this panel, right, with Oda, he has the paper coming up like that. I don't remember this scene in the series too much, but like there's probably it has something to do with the paper that she has. It's like a Viva card, I would imagine it's a Viva card.
I mean, listen, it still gets the job done, but it doesn't adapt the joke very effectively.
Sure, because you're taking a very metatextual, like a very rare. Oda doesn't do that many jokes like this. I mean, I'm making a generalized statement. I obviously can't say that because I haven't read the manga too much. I've been collecting it up through East Blue, and I've been reading it weekly since Egghead started. But he doesn't do that this often of like this kind of metatextual joke, right? But like the fact that they even had the arrow come out of him at all, had it come from somewhere, and you know what I mean? I think that was a pretty proper adaptation of it. I don't know. It's what you can do, you know? And also, here's another thing you kind of have to consider. This is one joke. This is one gag. This is also from Whole Cake, which you said you have not watched. You said you didn't watch the anime past Zoe, right?
Instead, it's just a lazy attempt to replicate the exact thing that happened. It's not using the fact that it's animated to its own benefit. It's just a lesser version of the joke made in the manga.
Okay. And there's other instances where the anime was better than the manga. It's not going to be... Does the anime really have to up the manga every single time? Does it really have to do that in order to be justified to worthwhile? To not call it fucking terrible? Bad? That was bad. It was worse than the manga, but was it bad? No. It just wasn't. I think your standards are way too high because that was the first time you experienced that. It was the manga. And then you see it adapt and you're like, oh, that wasn't as good. Interesting how that makes the experience worse when you watch one thing and then do the other thing. But when you're anime only, like myself, no problems.
There's simply no way to avoid it anymore.
Yeah, I can't believe it took you this fucking long, nearly 12 minutes.
I cannot stand the One Piece anime.
Okay.
When
A
people
lot of
ask
people
me if I
like you.
recommend One Piece, I tell them yes. But only if they're going to read the manga.
Yeah, O'Hara is the same way. There's probably a vast majority of One Piece YouTubers who are probably like that. Fucking Kraftsdorf is watching the anime now. Like, after I don't know when he stopped watching it. Like but he doesn't sound caught up. I'm not ready to call you out, Kraftsdorf. But, like, it really does seem the majority of One Piece fans are not watching. Like, they really fell off after Dressrosa, and so many people aren't watching it. I'm not even trying to be like, oh, but guys, Wano's so good. No. All of it's good. All of it's really good, actually. and their standards are inflated because the manga was the first way they experienced it. That's just how it is. And I'm not gonna be like, you must love this or this is. I would make the argument it's better, but that's because I watched it first. But maybe my opinion will start to change now that the anime has just started to adapt chapters that I read first. But here's the thing. I read it like a year ago. I read these chapters. I haven't reread the chapter. Maybe some people do. Maybe some One Piece fans are reading it a ton, right? But like, I haven't read this chapter in a long time. So unless I'm looking at the manga and watching the anime, which is not recommended, by the way, I've done that for several series and I've ruined my enjoyment of them by doing that. It just becomes way too technical process and I'm not enjoying the fucking thing. When I would watch the anime like in itself, I wouldn't even notice because of the way things are paced, because of the way that the music leads into one thing or another thing. It's still cinematic and everything. But if you're comparing like the manga, if you're looking at it, then it's like, yeah.
I am a firm believer that the anime is an absolutely horrible way to experience what is ultimately an incredible story.
You are not going to convince me of the argument that like, no guys, it's really good. It just deserves better. Like the fucking top comment here. It's just like, thank you. It deserves better. It's not going to get any better. It's just not going to get another fucking anime like that. Again, you could have maybe a recut. You could maybe have some little parts like reanimated for like some special stuff, and that would be great. A new adaptation of it. I would love that because it's more One Piece, But to deny yourself of this sort of shit, it's just so narrow-minded in my opinion. Look, you're talking from a guy who's like pro-anime, and I'm still reading the manga too because I love the story. I would imagine as a One Piece fan, like I'm not trying to get like gatekeep or whatever. And it's also not gonna work like holding the amount of time you've invested in One Piece versus other people, by the way. That's also not gonna work. I don't know. But the thing is, he is not alone here. There are so many One Piece fans exactly like Mac here. And it's sad.
Quick thing before I get into this, because some viewers aren't very smart. Today we are talking specifically about the quality of the adaptation of One Piece.
Good.
Me saying I love One Piece does not mean I love everything about One Piece or that I have no criticisms of it. It just so happens that I love One Piece despite its flaws.
I can't believe that. Is he really that big at like sub 50K that he's going to get people in his comment section that is just like, but One Piece sucks, but it has flaws. What about this? What do you have to make this caveat for? What? Because you just waited like, yeah, One Piece has its problems, guys. Well, who cares?
When I make a One Piece video, we'll talk about the quality of its writing then.
Oh,
That's not what we're here for today.
Oh, no.
In case you live under a rock or maybe just aren't that into anime, One Piece is a manga and anime created by Eiichiro Oda. It follows the story of a crew of pirates searching for a legendary treasure known as the One Piece.
Oh my god, just get into it. Please, please. It's One Piece, bro.
The reason I'm bringing up One Piece now is because this video is about what I look for in an anime adaptation of a manga. And if Land of the Lustrous is an example of an anime that I believe does everything right...
Which, by the way, you really did a minuscule job at describing it being an adaptation. All you did was just like, this is why the animation's good. Right? But you didn't really go into the adaptation process,
And One Piece is the example of an anime that does everything wrong.
Everything? 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 It's one of the most I gotta tell you, like from what little I've read about One Piece, okay, it is very one for one. You can't even like the worst. Do you know what the worst kind of adaptations are? The ones that don't adapt it for shit. That don't even look at the manga. And it's unrecognizable. There are so many ways to get this more wrong than you think. You gotta be kidding me. You have literally gotta be kidding me.
So if we look at the animation of One Piece, what are we getting out of seeing it animated?
You're seeing it in film. You are seeing it performed. And with music. And with color. And with a pace that is episode by episode instead of chapter by chapter that you can read in a month. People brag about how One Piece manga you could read it in a fucking month. That is so sad. I feel so bad for those fucking people. Because they fucking, you can't, like, I don't think you can read 1,000 chapters and not be like, yeah, panel of reaction, and then flip. Like, even Oda is trying to, like, create some kind of drama and cinema and gravitas, but he can't do that if you can dictate the pace of how fast you read. The anime allows you to experience the story in a gravitas way that really soaks in this really important moment or this really great joke that otherwise would be in a tiny panel of 1 page that Oda likes to sneak in a little bit here and there.
Does a worse experience count?
Look, these little riffs and everything like that, I completely get the temptation. I have cut so many similar riffs like this in my upcoming video. Because I realize all it is taking a shot at the subject I'm talking about. I'm just taking a boop, easy land. You know, the cheek's right there. It's right there. It's so easy to be unkind about something you don't like. This riff is completely unnecessary. It's not funny. It's not substantive. It's not. It just makes you're just punching the shit down. You have only given in 14 minutes now. You said you would start talking about One Piece 2 minutes ago, and the only example that you've been giving, and I know it's a 45-minute video, is this one metatextual joke they didn't adapt quite properly because it's something specific to the manga and everything. Like, you gotta be kidding me, dude.
For me, the breaking point was during the Dressrosa arc. The part of this.
Do you know how many episodes that is? The breaking point? The breaking point! Let me just double check when the Dressrosa started. Episode 630? 630 episodes? Now it's a deal breaker? The fuck were they doing? Was it good before then? Apparently not. But it's unforgivable now. Can't wait to see the arguments here.
Dressrosa was a really special arc for me because that's where the manga was when I finally caught up.
Oops! That's exactly the problem. You are no different from so many people. I bet I know why. Mac, you are no fucking different from so many One Piece fans that just happen to catch up at Dressrosa. So many are like that. And this is not a comment, and I'm just like, it writes itself. It really writes itself.
There were a lot of things during this part of the story that I was excited to see animated.
Because you were excited about the anime at the time? Were you interested in what? Did you watch the anime first? Because that's when you caught up. Did you watch the anime at all? Or did you start with the anime maybe? I don't know. You haven't really given me that kind of information. All you said that was you have only watched up to Zou, and you caught up to Dressrosa. But I don't know your full. Okay.
But to say I was disappointed would be a fucking understatement.
Mm-hmm.
One Piece is animated by Toei Animation, the same company that does Dragon Ball.
Get to a fucking
Both
point,
series have
please.
done very well
Oh
for them,
my
but that
god.
doesn't mean they're a good studio.
Jeez
It was during
Louise.
the Dressrosa arc that the animation quality hit an all-time low.
Yeah,
It's like Toei
that's
didn't
fair.
even care. Like they thought they could shit out whatever garbage they wanted and people would watch it anyway. And before anyone hits the comments with an explanation for
And again, it's a screenshot, but okay. Sorry if I keep
why it
double-clicking.
got so bad, let me just say that I do not care. There is
I'm done. Are you kidding me?
with an explanation for why it got so bad, let me just say that I do not care. There is no reason on this earth that would justify this being approved for broadcast. Yes, this is a real shot from the anime, and no, it is not zoomed in. It's not even a goofy frame in the middle of a movement. This is—
You're still pausing it. Now, to be fair, I mean, you're probably not moving it. I don't know. Because you're still pausing it. It's still a fucking frame. That's my problem, not the fact that it's zoomed in or whatever, which you've still done elsewhere in the video.
this is a still shot.
I think complete open contempt for like the people who are making this. Any reason you don't give a shit?
Someone let this leave their studio knowing millions of people would tune in to see it. Dude looks like he just got—
And you still zoomed in. I'm not zooming in, guys. Look, I'm not zooming in. No. No.
The worst head of his life. All kinds of issues just like this throughout Dressrosa.
Another still shot. Another
Watch
still shot.
any episode from
Another
this time
still
and you'll
shot.
find something bad.
I can't believe it.
Both Land of the Lustrous
And he
watch
just flashing is just completely assumed that it's bad. No comparison to the manga either. Are we fucking new here? You sounded so intelligent when you were talking about Land of the Lustrous because you were showing actual clips, actual footage, in compassion, in good faith. This is junk, bro.
any episode
Are you
from this
kidding
time
me?
in
And
Yomiuri.
also, none of those frames were that key moments at all. They aren't even in the 2 page, not even that important or whatever. But anyway,
actions.
because you have to think about that when you're making an adaptation. You can't just be on 10 every single week. I mean, if you have the opportunity, maybe sure. But like Wano's Gear 5, for example, they know they cannot slack a single fucking time, a second for that stretch of 4 or 5 episodes. The schedule and production allowed it, so they had one break week in the middle, and they had other places where they could adapt other parts of, Oda had it so that, and they might have extended certain scenes and everything, so that they were a little more economical. You have to be smart about this thing. You can't be fucking Thief and the Cobbler and just make everything look amazing all the fucking time, But there's also other technology, so it's even on a moment-to-moment basis, it can look good. Like Wano, with the way they changed their technology, all the lines they added in the compositing, they had this line width tool or something like that makes it look very inky and sketcherly, shit like that. It's oh my god. But you have to pool your resources to the more important moments, the fight scenes, or a really important emotional moment. Law's flashback, how good does that look versus these shots that you're showing that are not even in, I don't even remember when they're from.
In manga, action scenes are presented using separate panels.
And now we're talking about Delicious in Dungeon? Bro! Choose one! Choose one! I'm the thumbnail being a comparison with fucking One Piece and Landlust. It's okay, weird, but kind of strange, but I guess, let's see what he thinks. But now you just, you couldn't get an action shot from Land of the Lustrous? To be a little more focused and, consistent with what you're talking about? This is completely out of nowhere.
that attempt to illustrate.
No, I'm sorry, I don't even know this is this Delicious in Dungeon? It might be One Punch Man.
The flow of events from
I don't
one
remember.
panel to the next.
Can't
so
remember,
that
it's
you
so
as
out
the
of
reader can
context.
understand what's happening.
I don't know.
Great action manga makes it easy to fill in the
Those
blanks
are also not really that impressive shots, to be honest with you. But anyway.
for what you aren't seeing. And in the case of Land of the Lustrous,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't do the best job. One criticism that I have for
Good.
Lustrous
Okay,
as a
now you're
manga is that some of the action scenes can be really hard to follow.
Yeah.
This definitely gets better as the manga progresses, but early on especially, it can be hard to determine how we get from one panel to the next.
Uh-huh.
Fill in the gaps between them to create one seamless flowing action.
I agree.
When you're adapting fight scenes from manga to anime, you shouldn't change how the events play out, but you should absolutely change how they're presented, and this is what Lustrous does.
Hmm.
The anime takes the steps laid out
I'm
by
happy
the
he made
manga
that
and
distinction. I'm happy he makes that decision. You shouldn't change. But that's the thing with some of these things. It's you're adding something, so that is kind of a change. It is still kind of talking out of two different parts of your mouth.
utilizes the fact that it's 3D to create
I can see where he's coming from, though. You do have to fill some gaps, and that's okay. As if you're the god, I approve of that. He's also the whole thing, right? He's not framing any of this as, I would rather they don't do this. He's doing it in the second person, whereas you don't do that when you make an anime. You don't do that, as if he's the one that decides that. You kind of have to think about the wording that you're giving in this argument and everything. If any, and really let the thing speak for itself instead of just
shots of the camera whipping around to tie all the steps together. You won't always get to see the same perspective as you would in the manga, but you do get to see the same actions being carried out. It breathes new life into a scene we've seen before and offers a fresh...
So this is a different point that he's making, and he does not contrast the point that he just made about One Piece's drawings looking bad in some places here and there, with anything with Land of Lustrous or anything like that.
new experience that only this medium can carry out.
It's
That
very
means we're
unfocused.
getting something out of this experience that the manga can't. But doing that is really hard. And Toei doesn't like doing things the hard way.
I can't believe you're saying that. I cannot this video made in fucking 2016? Are you kidding me, bro? Do you live in a fucking tunnel? Like, do you live in, like, what is it, Socrates' cave? He hasn't seen light for the first, like they're turning his back. He sees light. That's his whole view of the world. Or I don't know. I may be butchering that metaphor or whatever. You cannot be saying that. Again, I didn't want to just resort to the old Wano thing, but, like, come the fuck on, bro. Oh my god, you can't be serious. But even if you know, honestly, even if Wano didn't it didn't go the way it wanted, I wouldn't want anyone to talk about a studio like that. That is completely disrespectful.
You'll have fights in this series where nearly every shot is just a one-to-one replication of what was seen in the manga, while generally looking worse.
Because it's a fucking frame. Did you see any of the? And I was like, oh, just because it's anime. I think he was harking on that point about, oh, just because it's animated or whatever. He's taking that away. He's removing that from the equation completely. But you notice every fucking time he shows Land of the Lustrous, it's a clip. It's moving. I can't believe the bias here. The double, like, he is yet, like, there's been one clip. There has been one clip of Kinemon running in the whole thing. From Dressrosa.
And really, calling them animated is being charitable. A lot of these shots
Thank
are
you.
practically a freeze frame with only slight movements added.
Yeah, but you're reversing it. Hold on. No. I think he's reversing it.
Charitable. A lot of these shots are practically a freeze frame with only slight movements added.
He is. Look. I mean, I've done that for my own AMVs. I've done that in little parts when I'm talking about animation and stuff for the sake of, like, the length of time that I'm talking. Although, again, you have these very long pauses at the end of all your sentences. Like,
a lot of these shots are practically a freeze frame with only slight movements added. What am
like the little pause. Like, you could have. Anyway, nitpicking, I guess. But yeah, that's what animation does. That's what anime does a lot. It's limited, repeated animation. And some of it can look really, really good and really convincing and lifelike and everything. And other times it looks very choppy and rushed and everything because there's a lot of other parts of the, like, the whole, like, you take the whole context of the whole episode, you know?
am I as a viewer gaining by watching this?
He's reversing it. Choose a different clip, bro. That's long enough to do what you're talking about. Like, you're not even respecting the animation at all.
Other than an awareness that it's a worse experience.
I can't believe this, bro. That's not even a fucking... Look, listen to what he just said.
As a viewer gaining by watching this. Other than an awareness that it's a worse experience.
It's just substanceless. Completely substanceless. I'm kind of done. I'm kind of over this video now. I can't believe he goes for 45 minutes like this. Dragon Ballification. Oh, no. And now he's going to talk about Wano over there? Oh, no. Join the Patreon. Good for you, man. Get that back. I get it. I have a Patreon, too. Oh, now he's going into sound design. Okay, cool. Oh, and he's going to give the... Okay, great. Great. I would give a lot of disagreement on that. Oh, and a big thing about the pacing. Oh. But this is it's just not the good. I'm a third of the video, and you've completely lost me. I don't think anything you say, even if it was in a good faith or in it's like well constructed and everything like that, it just doesn't. It completely lost me, man. And the reason they're getting such positive impressions is because you're communicating to an echo chamber. There are so many people that already believe Toei makes One Piece worse. I cannot believe this. And you're not alone. It's not just you. Like, again, this is complete common sentiment. This is precisely why I really want to make a full manga to anime comparison for One Piece. As insane and daunting and stupid as that sounds. I really think that you're missing so much because you're finding other things because he's cherry picking and everything. The real answer here is for someone to go through all of it and really give the whole thing, being like, this was a better choice, this was a worse choice, this was a better choice, and you can go arc by arc, you can go character by character, maybe. Fucking Shobu, but you're a YouTuber, you gotta keep making vids, you gotta keep, it's a shark. I'm not trying to, Dennis, it's like a company is a shark, it has to keep moving or else it'll die. That's a very common sentiment. common quote. It's similar with YouTube, I think. You're on a treadmill, right? There's no way you would make something like, especially if you have so much disdain for this adaptation. It's like no matter what it does, you're not gonna like it. You'll find something to, and it's no different from how I'm talking about your video, right? Because of the way that you started the video, and I had so many problems right off the bat. It's very similar. I'm in a bad faith position, and someone from a bad faith position could do a similar thing with comparing the manga to the anime and everything, and I would be no differently biased, because it would be very likely going through the anime and manga that like I would more likely side with the anime than I would the manga, just in general. And that's fine, because this is all subjective analysis at the end of the day. But just because it's subjective in your opinion in this, and it's all subjective and everything, doesn't mean that there's a craft, and there's practices and there's good things that like, and not so good ways to frame your argument or flow an argument in a particular way. I'm tapping out, guys. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I don't think I can handle more of this. I think I literally recorded this for nearly 90 minutes. Hope you took something out of that. I'm sorry I didn't get to the rest of the video. I know it's very disrespectful. I'm sorry. But I really got to record the rest of the digest. So